Welcome to the Big O Money Show. Bill Altman here with the Premier Advisory Group. My fabulous co-host Tony Shore on with us as usual, per usual. Last couple shows hasn't been, but we had Christmas and New Year's and things happening and all that kind of fun stuff. And we're back in action. Lots of fun. Older I get, the colder I get.
The older I get, the colder I get.
I don't know. Is that the way it works? I don't know. But today you're in for a hot show, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about. First, Tony, I want to get to you and talk a little bit about our fundraiser for Father Gama in Tanzania. So remember Father Gama, we talked about this a few weeks ago, or it's more than that now. It's been a while, I guess. Time flies. But we had Jennifer McMahon on from St. Vincent de Paul, religious formation director. And Father Gama was a priest at St. Vincent de Paul for a while, and now he is back in Tanzania, which is fantastic, running a school and parishes and all that kind of jazz. So he's doing that. Every year he requests, or he doesn't request, it's just kind of like, how can we help? And he's like, well, we'd like to, one year it was like, instead of going down to the river and putting buckets on the head and walking back up to the village, it'd be nice to have some fresh water for our students, our schools, our village. And so we, lack of better words here, we created like a bladder that goes on top of a building. It's a big water storage unit, basically.
Like a water tank or water tower on top of a building. Yeah.
Right. And that was a successful, and it's fantastic. They have fresh water.
Awesome.
How about that? Right. Who would have guessed, and the little things that we take for granted.
Yeah, fresh water over there is a rare commodity and tough to come by. Yeah.
And this year, the goal, and it was really for our 7th and 8th graders, our 8th grade service project at St. Vincent for the religious formation students. So they're not the daily kids students at St. Vincent. They go to the public schools, and then they go on Wednesday nights to St. Vincent to learn more about their faith. So in the 7th and 8th grade years, it's a formation year for the sacrament of confirmation. And so these young students have a service project. And the goal this year, the project this year, was to be able to raise enough money to build a chicken coop, a large chicken coop, and buy a bunch of chickens. Yeah. And what that would do is allow each kid that went to that school to have 1 egg per day.
Wow.
Pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
And so once again, the little things that we take for granted. But we were able to do that with the help of our community, our wonderful donors, a lot of small donors, which is awesome. The more of that, the more people that get involved and see it. Rich people can write checks, right?
Right.
Maybe it makes them feel better. I'm not saying anything bad about it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when it comes from when the word really gets out there, and you have a $5 donation coming from this person, and this kid reaches into his pocket and pulls out a couple bucks or a 10 or whatever it might be, they're going to remember that, and it instills this value that they build upon, this value of giving back, which is exciting. So we raised enough money, right in the neighborhood of like $6,000. Okay. We raised enough money to be able to build a large chicken coop. And Tony, this is going to be larger than my poultry operation.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, I'm not. 400 chickens purchased.
400 chickens?
400. So not only were we able to,
I didn't realize it was, I forgot it was that scope.
With our community, our donors, our students, with their generosity, we were able to build this wonderful chicken coop and purchase 400 chickens that are already laying eggs today, which is really, really exciting. So again, I wanted to give an update on that. We talked about it a while ago on the show here late last year with Jennifer, and we accomplished it. And so we'll be upward and onward, right? For this next project here next year. We'll kind of see what happens and what plays out. So that's that piece. Another thing, we were in Phoenix, the Phoenix Scottsdale area
Yeah.
For a while recently for an annual summit that we go to. It's a financial conference, and they bring a lot of great financial minds in from around the country, and whether they're keynote speakers or guest speakers, or whether they are advisors that we're like advisors, and so it's our peers, and from our peers we get to learn best practices and best ideas, what's happening, what's making your clients happiest over there in Connecticut or down in Florida or over in Des Moines, wherever it may be. And we can get all these ideas pushed together and really try to create the best of the best. And so that was really exciting. We were down there. I did bring the whole crew, and sometimes that does upset, mildly upset operations, or at least make them a little bit more cumbersome sometimes, because I did take Jake, I did take Andrew,
sure,
and their spouses, and Bill Kaiser and his spouse. So and Danielle came down, and so we do take a good crew from the office down. However, they're able to work from anywhere they want to work from, which is fantastic. Well, we don't do like a hybrid work from home deal, but if we have to travel and go see a client or go on a conference, and they're able to handle things. So nothing like that, but there's nothing like being in the office to tackle whatever comes up,
True.
Whether it's a client distribution, everything's at our fingertips here, right?
Right. But it's nice to be able to kind of re-energize and refresh and get some fresh ideas from other, there were 500 of the top advisors from all over the country and financial minds there, and they're picking your brain, Bill, on how you do things, and your other advisors, they're there, Jake and Andrew, learning and talking to people and sharing ideas. I think it's really, really a good thing. That conference is once a year, that big Gradient Summit, and it was good to see you guys there. I was there, and it was a lot of fun.
You were the MC.
Yeah, I basically almost lost my voice when I got back this Monday, actually. By the end of the day, my voice was pretty rough. I had to drink a lot of warm tea with honey.
Yeah. And you spent an extra day down there going to record shops, right?
I did, and I hiked up the mountain. I didn't make it all the way.
Okay.
But on Saturday morning, it was sunny and blue, clear skies.
And he's talking about Camelback, by the way.
Yeah, Camelback Mountain. And you and your family made it all the way to the top. Yep. I made it almost 2/3. I even did.
You know what number?
No, 8.
Probably like at 25 or something, huh? Out of the 36. No,
is it that far? Oh,
36 of the final. I'm going to call it the mile marker. It's not a mile.
Oh, I made it to at least 20, probably.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, that's cool though. No,
I didn't make it all the way to the top. I hit when I got to the point where I looked up and I'm like, where does the trail just ended?
Yeah.
And there's no trail. I mean, there was no trail before that, but it's at least, you can kind of tell where to go. And I'm looking around, and then I look up and I see the marker straight up, a rock wall. And then I'm looking at myself.
Yeah.
Pushing 60 over here, and full pizza under the belt. I'm like, no. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that. But kudos to you and your family, Bill, for doing it.
Well, they're the ones that were able to really mentally convince me to get up there. When I say mentally convince me, I'm like, I can't stop now.
I'm glad you made it.
And so, but it was hard. It's a no joke hike. If anybody's hiked Camelback Mountain, it is a lot of fun. It's beautiful. Once you do get to the top, it's a whole panoramic 360 of Phoenix.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
But yeah, it is tough. It's no doubt tough. And I was looking for a convenience store on my way up, or a defibrillator. I didn't find either. But no, made it down. By the way, coming down a mountain's easier than going up. I don't know if anybody knew that, but for me it was.
Well, actually, for me, that's when I was more worried about footing.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people had said, yeah, it's so much easier coming down. And I'm like, no, because that's where I was worried about twisting an ankle. My son
if you run and jump, Tony, run and jump, so you run down that mountain and then jump over obstacles like boulders and rattlesnakes and cactuses. That's how that's how you do it.
Oh, that's what you did? I'm sure.
Oh, most certainly. Yeah,
Right.
sliding down rails on my butt. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Right. Okay. So, we talked about chicken coops,
Oh, yes.
and I think that's great that the kids
Uh-huh.
are raising money to buy chickens and chicken coops,
Mhm.
for the folks there and for that school in Tanzania so they can feed the students there.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And then we talked about Summit. We
Mhm.
had a great time, and, I think that, let me see. I think that I have a picture from Summit to show at least our. This is
Oh,
we met
bar rescue.
we met John Taffer,
Yes.
who's the host, and it's his show Bar Rescue, and he's an intense guy. He was a speaker there, and I had the privilege of introducing him, Bill,
Yes.
as the announcer. I did his introduction, and he came to me backstage and said, "Hey, you've got a great voice," which I thought he's just being nice, but this guy, I don't think dishes out compliments very much. He's pretty critical. So I kind of was proud of that, but I got a photo of him just yelling at me.
That's funny. Yeah.
I thought that,
All in fun. Yeah. No, he was
yeah,
awesome. He has a great story too, very inspirational. We also got to hear and meet Danica Patrick.
Danica Patrick, the
Yeah.
female race car driver,
Yeah, that was
the only woman to ever win any Indy races.
pretty exciting
Yeah.
too. She was really cool and really small. She's 5'1", 108 pounds.
Yeah, tiny, and she doesn't look tiny in her
She's
pictures.
driving 200-mile-an-hour race cars. Somebody was like, "What's it feel like to go 190?" And she's like, "190." She's like, "I go 220
Yeah.
or whatever
Yeah.
the number was." It's
Yeah,
kind of
and that
funny
and
though.
that was just on the way to the event to speak.
That was on the way to
No,
yeah,
no.
Circle K. That's right. Um, so so we got to go through all that. And now what we really want to talk to you a little bit about too is what's not only what's kind of going on in markets, but what's going on. Corporate earnings look solid. We've seen that. We continue to see it. We saw interest rates come down in December. We'll see what to expect for this year. We have Jay Powell and Trump fighting, and all kinds of fun stuff there. So who
Oh,
knows, right?
yeah.
I don't want to say who cares, Tony, but us sitting in here playing armchair quarterback on it's not going to do any good.
No.
So what we're going to do is we're going to follow it really closely, and then we're going to react based on kind of what happens. Always being proactive too, so not just reactive, but sometimes you do have to wait. You just can't take like a guess of what's going to happen and do it, right? So sometimes you do have to kind of wait and see how things fold out a little bit. But what we do know potentially is, well, I shouldn't say I don't think it's like a no, right?
Right, right.
But what we feel is that interest rates aren't going to come up anytime soon. And so they probably will come down a little bit more. Not too much more. They're talking about a couple cuts this year. Who knows? I quit guessing on that because we've heard things all over the board and it doesn't happen. Tony, we were talking 20 years ago with people about the dot map that the Federal Reserve puts out, and they put a dot on a paper and this is where they think interest rates are going to be, and they're never ever right. And so
Right.
25 years ago, I was looking at that, and so once again, sometimes you got to put your blinders on and get out of your own way. And I'll say that about business, and I'll say that about individuals, just your own personal life. Sometimes the best possible thing that you can do is just to get out of your own way. Sometimes you're the problem. And I say this clearly about myself. Sometimes I'm the problem when
Well, you don't want to be reactionary. That's what you're
no,
talking about. When you say I'm the problem, it means you're reacting to, oh, the Fed says interest rates are going to be here, so I'm going to do this. Yeah,
or within business, maybe you're micromanaging where you should really let people like do their own thing, right? And so
do their
that's getting your
jobs.
own
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Or if I was 30, 40 pounds heavier a couple of years ago, that was a me issue. That's all that
Right.
was. It had nothing to do. I can't blame that on Burger King. I didn't have to go there.
Right.
I'm the one that
Right.
I drove myself there.
Yeah. I like to blame pizza, but really it's my fault, Bill.
I talked to my buddy Brett. Well, thanks. I talked to we're going to Virtuoso about that, by the way, this afternoon.
Oh, you're making me jealous.
David, Brenda, we're coming in hot. So I can't wait. Anyway, with that being said, I'm a big pizza fan. Virtuoso Benson. If you haven't been,
so good.
That's silly if you haven't been. So go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you'll never eat anywhere else. That's where you'll go forever.
Yeah.
On
Right.
Mondays they're closed, and then on Monday you'll just have to starve, and then on Tuesday you can go back.
Yep.
But that being said, getting out of your own way is where we were on that. And so whether it's eating, whether it's business, whether it's something else in your own life or a relationship, a lot of times it just comes back to us and what we're doing. Yeah, we can be reactionary or we can be proactive about situations. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to you, right? And so we have to take the blame for our own actions. On that, we don't know necessarily, right, what's going to happen with markets and with Fed. What we do know is what corporate earnings look like, and the trajectory of them. We do know the strength and stability of certain companies. We know last year that the international markets were just cranking, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
It's
they
been
did
a while.
well.
Yeah, it's been a while, but it definitely forces portfolios like our endowment portfolio that has international holdings as well as U.S. holdings, but it has an international component, which forced those returns up, right? Because we're having higher. But everything's different, and it's different for everybody too. And some investors have a lot of money in the market, or a lot of money, period, whatever it might be. You might have 10 million bucks. I don't know, right? But you're a very conservative investor. You don't need to be conservative, but you also are to the point where you've made it. You're there. You don't need any more. Things are paid off. Kids are off the payroll and they're already pushed through college, whatever the situation is. You're not going to start living high on the hog. Could you afford to take some risk in the market? Absolutely, you could. But some people just don't want to stomach it. They're fine. They've been there. They've done that. They've seen the roller coasters, and they're good with just a nice conservative rate of return. Yeah. And we see that, Tony. We see that more and more and more with people, which is fantastic. And getting to that place where you don't have to play catch up is so important. Getting to the place. To get to that place, you need a good plan at the end of it.
Speaking of that, what about, I know you're going to bring up Brian Belski.
I am, right? Yeah. And
former chief investment strategist for BMO Bank.
Yeah, Bank of Montreal, BMO. And most people probably have heard of BMO around Omaha. You've seen it. You'll see it in First National Bank Park. I think it's called First National Bank Park, right there, 132nd and across from the Linden Market, Hy-Vee, right in that area. There's BMO and there's multiple branches, but they're huge. They're a massive bank, one of the 7 largest banks, I think, in the world.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, Brian Belski, again, as Tony said, was BMO's chief investment strategist. Very well known. You've seen him on, if you're watching CNBC or Fox News or MS or whatever you're watching, okay, you've seen him on there talking about portfolios. He's a very bullish person. He's been very bullish for a long time, and he's been right for a long time. Okay? Doesn't mean he's always going to be right. Past performance is not going to predict the future performance, right? So we know that, and so I'll put that disclaimer out there. But he has been very good. Brian did retire from BMO recently. Been in that world for a long time. He runs a fantastic portfolio. It's a Smid Cap, a small and medium cap portfolio. He's a U.S. guy, so it's primarily U.S., but it's U.S. small to mid capitalization stocks. They're looking for very financially sound companies and that are reasonably priced. So that's our Smid, S-M-I-D, cap portfolio. It's a new portfolio that we have introduced for this year of 2025 that Brian Belski himself, will be managing. So he is now part of the Gradient team. That team, they're nearly $10 billion under management, was able to recruit a guy that managed a $12 billion portfolio, which made up of small and mid cap. It's really exciting news. If you want to learn more about that, please don't hesitate to give us a call. You can call our office direct, 402-557-6730. Again, 557-6730, or you can go directly to our website, bigomoney.com. And we'd love to talk to you about that portfolio and everything else that we have to offer. Remember, here at the Premier Advisory Group, we try to have everything built in. As people get into retirement, they like to simplify things, it seems like, right? And even myself, I'm so far away from retirement, I like to simplify things. I have to-do lists every day that are miles long, it seems like, and all I do is just run and tackle these items, right? And so now we want to get to the point of, how can I simplify things? So here at the group, we're able to have your taxes taken care of by a CPA, not just an accountant. Nothing wrong with just an accountant, by the way. Okay. But not just an accountant or a bookkeeper or whatever. They have a tax practice, an actual CPA that's been in business, doing business for over 30 years. Julie Moeller, that's her name. Moeller and Associates is our CPA firm that we own. And that's exciting. So we try to push that and make sure that we're encompassing your entire financial plan by making sure that we are maximizing your tax situation, right? Minimizing your tax liability, maximizing your return or your deductions, whatever can be done legally. We want to make sure that we take advantage of that. Medicare, Bill Kaiser and Brenda over on the Medicare side, that's a very big piece. Andrew, Jake, myself, Bill Kaiser on investment side. So we have a lot going on. And then we have all these wonderful strategic partners on the other side of it, from the Brian Belski and the Mike Binger and, the Dr. Tony Shore. We have the whole crew, which is really, really exciting for us. So small and medium in portfolio. It's a small and medium cap, the Smid portfolio. We want to make sure that we can help you with that. And if this aligns with something within your own plan or your own portfolio, we can certainly integrate that, Tony.
Yeah. I think that's great. I mean, Brian Belski, I've seen him speak many times, met him. You've had the opportunity to meet him and talk to him and see him talk. And he's usually bullish and really on top of it and well respected. I mean, man, you can't turn on Fox Business News or CNBC or Bloomberg without seeing him on there.
That's right.
He's very well respected on Wall Street and knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and a tremendous speaker, a fantastic.
Oh, yeah, very entertaining.
So yeah, all good things. In starting to kind of run out of time in our show this morning, I want to just talk to you a little bit about what a lot of people are feeling out there on the streets. And what we've compiled a list of are these top 10, roughly 10, I believe, retirement concerns that people, as they approach retirement, and even when they're younger, they're in their 50s and they have these concerns. I was on a phone call earlier this week with a good friend and client who is younger and has concerns. I mean, he's looking out 10, 15 years and saying, geez, am I going to be able to do it? Right. And so these are concerns not only of people that are in retirement, but certainly approaching retirement. One of them is running out of money. Well, yeah, absolutely. We want to make sure that you have some type of income stream, retirement income stream that you can truly count on. That's important. You don't want to run out of money first. You kind of want to die first. I don't want to be morbid about it. Yeah. And people that want to that bounce their last check, we really need a good date on that first number when you're gonna when I need to bounce that one.
Yeah, nobody knows when they're gonna pass, so that doesn't work.
No, healthcare and long-term care costs, again, something that we manage right here at the Premier Advisory Group. Tony, you're very well aware of it, and healthcare and long-term care are very expensive. It's on the forefront of us. We want to make sure that we're tackling this ahead of time so it's a non-issue when it comes up. It will be an issue, but we don't want it to be a financial issue, right? More than it needs to be. Inflation. People definitely worry about inflation, no doubt about it, right? The cost of everything goes up and up and up, and it doesn't seem to come down. New cars are super expensive. What's the average? 50 grand or something nowadays for a new basic car? I don't know what exactly the number is, but I think I'm right there, right? That's what we've heard. Insufficient savings. People, life happens. And inflation happens and job loss happens and medical issues happen and kids go to college or you got to help out a kid or whatever the situation is, right? All of a sudden you get to this point where it's like, I want to retire, but do I have enough money? So that's always an issue. Social Security uncertainty, Tony, that's something that comes up. We definitely want to tackle that and help you maximize your Social Security retirement income.
Right.
Market volatility and investment risk, that speaks on itself. We know we're going to have that. So managing that based on your own risk tolerance, not only financially what you can afford to take on, but also mentally what you can afford to take on, right? Do you lose sleep at night? Failing to plan for use of free time. And so this is a concern. People are like, geez, what am I going to do during this time? I'm so busy. I just need some time for myself. taxation, estate planning, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, a big concern that people procrastinate on. They put off until tomorrow what should be done today, and they just put it off, and we'll do it tomorrow or do it the next year, whenever we're going to do it, because we're not going to die yet. But guess what? You don't know when you're going to die. How about that? Okay. So we do it now. It's why my kids have powers of attorney and wills when they're 19 years old in the state of Nebraska. That's when you're legal adults. And so I recommend for everybody, I don't care how much assets they have, they should have powers of attorney and wills. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not recommending that to you. But if you speak to a lawyer, they'll hopefully they would be smart enough to recommend the same.
Sure.
Debt and housing costs. What's it going to cost us? We live in Nebraska. It's expensive. My parents moved to Arizona, live in a nice house. $600,000-$700,000 or something like that. Their property taxes are like nothing. I don't know, like $5,000 a year. And I shouldn't say nothing. It's still a lot of money, $4,000 or $5,000 a year. But that same house here would cost Tony in property taxes at least $14,000-$15,000. Yeah. I found you, listeners of the Big O Money Show, another $1,000 a month, just like that. I want to keep you in Nebraska. I love you. But sometimes there's better states to retire in. And we talk about that when you come into the office. We are out of time. I do really appreciate everybody and all of our wonderful listeners. My name is Bill Altman with the Premier Advisory Group and my co-host, Tony Shore. Until next week, you have a wonderful week ahead.